African presidents who were assassinated or died violently while in office. Across the vast continent of Africa, leadership has often been a dangerous calling. From the first dawn of independence in the 1960s to the turbulent politics of the 21st century, presidents have risen with visions of reform and sometimes fallen to violence. The story of African governance is intertwined with ambition, revolution, and tragically, bloodshed. In this documentary, we explore 10 leaders whose deaths reshaped nations. We examine not only the events that led to their demise, but also the political forces that turned promise into tragedy. The era of independence and coup d'etat won. Patrice Lumumba, Prime Minister, Democratic Republic of Congo, 1960 to 1961. Patrice Lumumba became a symbol of Africa's independence. In June 1960, he led the Democratic Republic of Congo to freedom after decades of brutal colonial rule. His speeches spoke of unity and self-determination. But independence came with immense challenges. Within months, Congo was engulfed in crisis. Cold War powers viewed Lumumba's nationalist stance as a threat. Belgium, fearing loss of influence, and the United States, fearing communism, supported opposition to him. On January 17, 1961, Lumumba was captured, tortured, and executed by a firing squad in Katanga, a region backed by foreign powers. His death was a political assassination that reverberates across Africa to this day. 2. Sylvanus Olympio, President, Togo, 1960 to 1963. Togo, like many African nations, faced political instability after independence. Sylvanus Olympio, its first president, aimed to build a sovereign nation free from colonial control. However, economic hardship and political dissent undermined his authority. On January 13, 1963, a military coup led by Sergeant Gnassingbé Eyadema overthrew the government. Olympio was assassinated outside the U.S. Embassy in Lomé. His death marked Africa's first post-independence coup, a sign of how fragile new democracies could be in the shadow of colonial legacy and internal divisions. 3. Melchior Ndadaye, President, Burundi, 1993. In October 1993, Melchior Ndadaye became Burundi's first democratically elected president. A Hutu leader in a nation torn by ethnic divisions, Ndadaye symbolized hope for reconciliation. Only months into his presidency, elements of the Tutsi-dominated military staged a coup. On October 21, 1993, Ndadaye was assassinated in his home. His death ignited civil war and deepened ethnic conflict, claiming hundreds of thousands of lives. 4. Juvénal Habyarimana, President, Rwanda, 1973 to 1994. Habyarimana ruled Rwanda for over 2 decades, maintaining relative stability, but at a cost: authoritarian control and ethnic favoritism. In the early 1990s, peace talks with the Rwandan Patriotic Front raised hope for change. On April 6, 1994, Habyarimana's plane was shot down near Kigali Airport. The crash killed all aboard, including Burundi's president, Cyprien Ntaryamira. This incident sparked the Rwandan genocide, a horrific episode where nearly 1 million people were massacred within months. 5. Cyprien Ntaryamira, President, Burundi, 1994. Cyprien Ntaryamira had taken office just 3 months earlier. His death in the same plane crash that killed Habyarimana intensified the crisis in the Great Lakes region. Burundi spiraled further into violence, showing how fragile political peace can be in the face of deep ethnic and political divisions. The era of revolution and civil war. 6. Thomas Sankara, President, Burkina Faso, 1983 to 1987. Thomas Sankara is remembered as Africa's revolutionary icon. Taking power in a coup in 1983, he renamed Upper Volta to Burkina Faso, land of upright people, and launched sweeping reforms in health, education, and women's rights. But his radical vision threatened entrenched interests. On October 15, 1987, Sankara was assassinated in a coup led by his former ally, Blaise Compaoré. His death extinguished a rare era of radical reform in Africa and left a legacy of unresolved struggle. 7. Samuel K. Doe, President, Liberia, 1980 to 1990. Doe seized power in Liberia in 1980 through a violent coup ending over a century of Americo-Liberian dominance. His rule became increasingly corrupt and authoritarian. By 1989, Liberia was engulfed in civil war. In September 1990, rebel forces captured, tortured, and executed Doe. His brutal death was broadcast worldwide, a stark example of how personal power struggles can destroy nations. 8. Laurent Kabila, President, Democratic Republic of Congo, 1997 to 2001. Laurent Kabila came to power in 1997 after overthrowing Mobutu Sese Seko. Initially held as a liberator, his government soon faced corruption, rebellion, and foreign interference. On January 16, 2001, Kabila was shot by one of his own bodyguards in his office. His death underscored the precariousness of power in a country where warlords, militias, and foreign powers shape politics. 9. Muammar Gaddafi, leader Libya, 1969 to 2011. Gaddafi ruled Libya for 42 years, blending revolutionary ideology with authoritarian control. His foreign policy often provoked hostility from Western powers. In 2011, the Arab Spring spread to Libya. Months of rebellion and NATO airstrikes culminated in Gaddafi's capture and in death in October 2011. His fall marked the collapse of centralized control and the descent of Libya into chaos. 10. Idriss Déby, President, Chad, 1990 to 2021. Idriss Déby rose to power in 1990 through a coup, maintaining a firm grip on Chad for over 3 decades. His rule was marked by repression, but also by stability in a volatile region. On April 20, 2021, Déby was killed on the battlefield while inspecting troops fighting rebels. His death reminded the world that in some corners of Africa, the battlefield still determines political survival. Across decades, Africa's history of presidential assassinations reveals recurring patterns: deep political rivalries, foreign interference, ethnic tension, and the struggle for reform. These deaths were not mere accidents of history. They were defining moments that shaped nations and tested the resilience of democracy. They remind us that leadership is never without risk, and that the cost of change can be steep. The stories of these presidents stand as a powerful warning. Power without trust, justice, and accountability may always end in violence. The story of Africa's leaders is unfinished, but their struggles and sacrifices remain a testament to the continent's ongoing quest for dignity, freedom, and lasting peace. If you found this story powerful, please like this video, share it with others, comment your thoughts below, and subscribe to our channel for more deep historical documentaries. Your support helps us bring more stories from history to life.